Dani, welcome to the National Music Center. We're so thrilled to have you here. You've been here for OHSOTO'KINO for the incubator, and before we get into some questions, maybe if you can introduce yourself, maybe your name and the nation that you rep in.
Masicho, Cookjam, thanks for having me. I feel so blessed to be here. My name is Dani Lion, aka Danielle Mueller, and I come from Saik'uz First Nations in central BC. I'm also Secwepik, Shuswap on my father's side. So I grew up though in Dakel territory, Carrier Dene, the Dakel people. Saik'uz First Nation. My mom's chief of our nation there, and I come from a long line of amazing hereditary female chiefs, actually. So my great-grandma, Selena John, she started the Carrier-Sakani Family Services, which is now also moved on into Vancouver, helping our people thrive wherever we go. So that's my territory, is Dakel.
It's a very rich territory in terms of like history, culture, language. There's just, it's, so thank you so much for being here. How does music play a role in growing up in your community and in your family?
Well, my dad and mom were like evangelized by tent meetings, I like to say, growing up. So they got into church vibes, and so we actually ended up being missionaries into my communities till I was 8. But like they were res raised, grew up on the res, and then they ended up moving into like this missionary space. I get to call it a hippie Christian commune because that's what it was like. And we would go, and my dad would always play all the music for everything. He was the musician, and he really got me into music growing up. But it was more Christian based. I watched the black and white movies, like pinup. Like they let me watch those things, but we were kind of not sheltered in a way, but I guess protected from the rock and roll until Dad was like, no, I'm going to show you Janis Joplin. I'm going to show you Bob Marley. I'm going to show you Jimi Hendrix. When I think I turned like 10, he just started showing me these records, and I just fell in love with Janis Joplin. Like I think I listened to Janis Joplin, all her songs. I would just belt them on the way home, all the time to him. So I feel like music was in my DNA since I was really young, because my dad was always playing music for me. I was singing since I was 5. And because I was in like in a church setting, me and my little friends would learn piano, and so we would sing together all the time in church too. And then outside of that, we would write and sing together. But I always thought I was like a harmonizer, like not the lead singer, because I was harmonized for my friend who had a very strong voice. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until high school that I started I started to take choir for my last 6 months of high school randomly. And my teacher was like, your range, like she started working with me after school, and like she really got my range up, and I got the confidence to sing our grad song, and that was huge for me. I had like my mucklucks and my Dreamcatcher earrings, and I got to sing our grad song, and it really transformed my confidence to be like, this is something I always wanted to. I always said when I was little, my mom was like, you kind of need braces, but you kind of don't need braces. I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna be a singer. Like I need braces. Like I gotta like have that smile to say. I always knew I wanted to be a singer, but the confidence and like doing it more. I'm from a small town. I'm from a small res. Like we moved back to the res when I was 8. No one did music on the res besides we did our drumming, right? But we didn't have. We had lost a lot of our song, medicine for a while there. It was actually a gap in that when I moved back. And then I feel like now, especially like it's starting to, the songs have not stopped, but they're definitely stronger now. There's a lot more of us singing our songs more. And there was a gap in our traditions for a while there, right? And they're all coming back from our old songs. My great-grandmother wrote songs. I have people in my family that I wrote some of our songs that are sung between all the tribes. The 15 nations will sing some of our songs from our community.
So there's a history, like some song carriers just bringing those, and it seems like it's such a beautiful time for those songs coming back, and for people to learn them, for people to carry them forward, and what do you think that traditional music brings with it?
I think that it's in our DNA. It brings our history only from like my grandmother who wrote them. But it's also my responsibility as her granddaughter, as a hereditary chief, to carry on our songs, and if it's not carrying them on the same traditional ones, but to write new ones in our language. So I've got my first language grant, and I've been learning our language, and it's going to take me a while. We only have a few language speakers left, but I got this beautiful elder, Archie. He's the late great Grand Chief Archie. He's helping me, mentor me, and so my job, literally, I need to carry on our language through music. That's been my goal since I was younger, but now it's like this is actually something I'm really working towards because I want to use even pop music. I want to put like a hook in our language to get the youth excited about it. And I feel like the Women's Warrior song on Salish territory, that woman who wrote that was in her 60s. She wasn't that old. Like, she wrote that song that's now an anthem. We can write new songs in our language. We can write new traditional songs in our language that still have that are carrying on the legacy of our ancestors, and re-singing our old songs, reviving them so that, because I'm noticing when our people are playing our songs again, that's when they're back to themselves. That's when they're healing from their addictions, they're healing from their pain. And when they sing, when they're dancing powwow, it's bringing us back to us. And that's why music is the most key, most important. Music and dance in the community is what's bringing them their spirit back. And I'm that person I'm the first to graduate for anything musical in my community ever. I'm the first of our tribe to graduate for music, being an audio engineer. They're all really rooting for me. They're like, you're gonna put Saik'uz on the map. Like, you're gonna carry shit on, and I wanna do that for them.
Well, and you mentioned that you graduated from audio engineering. What was important that you learned about music through the technical process?
Wow, it changed my whole perspective on just, I love the singing, the music that I love, the performance, being that little performer. That was all part of who I am. The actual like sonics of what music is, like what audio is itself, the mathematics of it all. Like it just blew my mind. Like so many layers of what music is, what instrumentation is, what software can do. I don't know. It just changed me as a person. Literally, it changed. Not only am I now this right-sided like artist person, I was swerving to the left, working with my left side of my brain like crazy now. I feel like I'm very balanced in those two. And my dad's an engineer, it makes sense. Like my mom said, you weren't the kind of kid that would grab toys out of the play box and throw them around. You were the kind of kid that would grab each and like wonder what's in each of them, inspect them and put it down. And I remember my brain, even at that age, I was always like, what is this made out of? How is this doing this? And I was always really curious. When I think back to my nerdy little kid years, I was a bookworm. Like, I was a grade A student or like word little student. So I'm going back to that side of myself, and the studio brought that out in me. It brought out like my curiosity in music in a whole different way.
And you through that relationship with learning about the studio, it's also created connections to artists as well. Can you share some names and what that experience has been like?
Yeah, I just somebody kind of going through their history of like writing these songs. They'll tell me like what brought on that song, where they were, what happened, what brought on that album. I was fighting like Tawaham. I worked with Tawaham recently, who's like he was a spoken word Dani artist from Vancouver, but he ended up, now he's moving more into like kind of hip hop spoken word too. And the way he paints pictures with his music is amazing. Like the way he speaks, he is that of a spoken word poet, but then he's moving more into like even more intense like philosophies. So doing his album with him was a huge gift to me, because I not only learned a lot about like our people, our land, what it takes, like the land protection rights, like bill this, bill that. Like he taught me a lot, but it was also like how specifically he needed something from me. Like I had to get really technical and good, and I had to really work my best at trying to put his vision to life. And I got to be creative. I got to find sounds and things to move. I got to pretty much help produce, his album in a way too. I was not just engineering it. I was also helping him produce it. And then again, then the mixing comes into play, and then you get to and he like wanted to do every detail with me because he like likes that. Like he helped me comp everything. I just found like he was just like really hands-on. And so when he's proud of his songs after, and I'm seeing them rise or get onto the charts, I'm like, yo, like that's awesome. That's a great feeling to like, I feel like that was a lot of work. And it's a lot more work than you think, like these producers, engineers, what they put into to our craft. It takes many hours, more hours than we even ask to get paid. It takes a lot of time to be very super detail oriented, but also have the flow. You want things to sound really clean, but you want it to be their style. You don't want it to be like so overly technical. Then it's like it's got to be not rigid. It's got to be.
Well, the fact like you're an Indigenous Indigenous woman doing this too.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard of a lot of Indigenous women going that route with in terms of producing in the studio. So, I mean, you know, it's not there hasn't been a lot, and so you're certainly a leading example of that possibility.
Thank you. Yeah, well, Masicho, well, there we are far and few between. Me being an Indigenous female audio engineer producer, I have met others that are.
Yes.
And that's the cool thing is I feel like we definitely all really support each other, the ones that are around. And again, women make 2% of the industry as it is. Indigenous females, I mean, probably a very small percentage because people don't even know where they can find one. But that gives me more of a drive to show that representation to our women, to our men. Like they're like, what you do, audio engineering, but it's like for me, that was just the next natural step to not be frustrated with not knowing how to put my visions, my heart pieces that creator like speaks through me. I can't put that down. I don't know how to record it. I don't know how to. Now I can do all that stuff. But because I spent the last 3 years working on my audio engineering side for others, I now realize I really need to feed that back into myself, into my music, and just take the time to write my album, engineer my album, be creative with my engineering producer side for my album, but also like, this is the reason why you did this. This is the reason why you took this.
I got to ask about Snotty Nose Res Kids. You've connected with them as well.
Yeah, they are actually some close friends of mine. Like I used to joke with our friends in Vancouver saying that before the Bougie Native song was written, a few of us would just call the artists that you'd come from all different reserves, all end up in Vancouver, and so it's a small world once you're there, and it's sort of okay. We all kind of vibe. I'm sure you know it. We're like, you're meeting up, everyone's artsy and fun and dressed cool. It's just like the bougie natives. We're the bougie little urban natives. Yeah. So we used to joke there, the bougie natives, but when they wrote that song, it's such a banger. And it does actually represent a lot of how our friendship group is there. Like everyone in our friendship, so many people in our group of friends, not even group, like just our community of friends there. I shouldn't say group because it's not cliquey. It's like we're close. Different people are closer, but there's like I'm close with them. And I was just at Darren's wedding, SNRK, and Candace's wedding, and that was super fun to be there because you're there and everyone's dressed up and super Indigenous. And you look around, you're like, wow, I'm surrounded by artists. I'm surrounded by excellence, Indigenous excellence. Like that's Jolene who runs like runs supernatural modeling that's in vogue. There's and then there beside me there's DJ Cookham, who's like #1 female Indigenous like DJ of the world. It's like these are my friends, man. This is what we do. Like, but everyone's there for each other in our group. So
and Vancouver particularly within hip hop history has such a rich history in the early 2000s onwards. So it's been there's been a creative stew, like a stew that's been boiling over for years now. It's just developed more and more and more. So you have this studio background, working in, but then when it comes to your own music, you talked about like one artist that's influenced you is like Adele, for example, has been influential, right? And amongst others.
I'd say people, when they hear me sing, they because I have a really cutesy, fun way of putting words together, and how I write when I'm doing like trap or drill style hip hop, mixed with like pop and like vocal. I do a lot of singing with it, and they'll have people reminded it of. I like to say now, like old Doja Cat, because the new Doja Cat style is a little bit gothic for me. I should say. I'll say gothic, but like the Hot Pink album by Doja Cat, Planet Her, very similar to my aura of like. That like I love like the anime, the cherry blossom, like being silly. I'm silly. I'm really me out in the world. I'm the most me, and that could be animated. That could be very performative. That can be silly, and I put that into my songs when I do. And so people will compare my voice to Doja Cat when it's like rap or hip hop or like pop. They'll compare my voice to Amy Winehouse and like maybe not as much Adele as like Amy Winehouse, Macy Gray. I've gotten like Nora Jones. I've gotten so many like the amount of people that compared me to, it's so nice to hear. But the other day, my girlfriend on my birthday is like, "You're my Alicia Keys." I'm like, that's really beautiful to be compared to these amazing, amazing women that have paved the way before me. But the most I get is Doja Cat and Jessie Reyez.
Nice.
They're probably the two I get the most, kind of when I'm like just singing my little. And then when it's the soul stuff, it's Amy. All Amy.
So the incubator. what does it mean to be here for in terms of your career? Because you have the studio background, you've recorded some songs, but you're still in that phase of moving forward. So what does it mean to be here right now in your career?
To be honest, it couldn't have happened at better timing for me. Like I just got off tour, so I was executive artistic director of Two Rivers Remix Movable Feast, which is like the first Indigenous tour that happened with more than, say, like 2 artists or two bands. This was like a full-on over 30 artists, 32 crew members. And so tour happened. I got my tour management accolades in there. I also performed and emceed for some of the shows. And then earlier this year, I was at the Junos and I was an audio RF tech assistant, so audio assistant for that. And so like, there's some audio world I'm working with Live Nation. I did the 50 Cent show on the weekend. So I'm doing these different things where I'm working all in the industry, but my artistry, my heart, my music, the grant I got last year from First Peoples Culture Council is supposed to be for my album. I have 4 months left to finish my album. I have 2 songs done. I need like 5 more songs. So really this couldn't have happened at a better time. Summer ended, the tour just ended. I just got back. My birthday happened Saturday after the 50 Cent show. Most amazing. He got to sing in the club. Go shawty, it's your birthday. My birthday. Perfect. And then I come here the next day and I'm like, this creator couldn't have aligned it better for me to focus on my own music. I just finished building my studio. It's not like I'm going to be able to use it for clients too, but it's for me and Cookham.
So you built a home studio?
Yeah, I built a home studio and DJ Cookham's coming in on it with me. I painted the room, like added, the closet is now a full sound booth, like all padded up, LEDs, like I got this like clouds coming in with like these beautiful LED and like, it's so cool. I have like all the sound treatments. And so it's taking me a bit of time to get the studio up and all the gear and stuff I needed. But so now I'm just going to focus on writing. And it couldn't have happened at better timing that I got this incubator because it was kind of telling me that this is the time to focus on you as an artist. This is what you want. This is what you want to do, to get these albums out, to get these songs out. Because they're medicine. I want to like sing about our people. I want to help. I want to give some love out there. And also I have some really fun ones where it's just like, these are for fun. Like go out there and get that like pop fun energy. And there's not a lot of Indigenous artists that are doing that kind of energy on stage. There's a lot of folk artists. There's like, I see hip hop. I see a lot of people doing good things, but I definitely don't see a lot of like pop track and Jill like artists, or even like soul Indigenous artists. So I'm excited to like kind of bring my brand and essence out there, which in my head, my brand is the Neon Natives, which is the post-residential school generation, where we're the first out of residential schools because my mom's parents were in there, my dad's parents, and then my mom and dad were in day school, so I'm like the first generation out.
There might be somebody like watching this that'll be like, well, that's your parents, that's not you. How did that have an effect on you?
I say we're the first that are now, like I'm starting to finally see our people are now, I feel like, healing in a lot of ways, and we're starting to find ourselves, find our culture, practice our culture more, relearning our languages. People my age group and younger are starting to like, you know, do their TikTok has actually been a huge influence on like sharing our like our dances and our traditions, and like, so you're starting to see our people on billboards now. You're starting to see us. While I was growing up, I didn't even see us on a freaking 7-Eleven. There was no advertising for Indigenous anywhere. Nothing. I used to tell Mom, how come they don't have us on anything? Like, I didn't get what racism was because I was too young to understand. But as you get older, you're like, wait, like, we need to put our best foot forward to like not only collaborate but like show who we are. And we're Neon Natives. We're wearing our colors. Our powwow colors are neon. They're bright, beautiful colors, and we're a bright, beautiful people. And I want to be able to sing on those stages, represent how we looked in the past, but modern pop star vibes, and just go rep and present and represent and do it from a place of love and of a collaboration. I do want to talk sometimes about the hard stuff because it's inevitable, but we aren't our trauma. We're completely 100% not our trauma, and we are our healing too. And so that's what this next album is about. It's called Reclamation and Resurgence that I'm writing, and it's about celebration and collaboration, and that's how far we've come, really. I don't want to sit there and I'm not going to write songs just for like an essence that you can throw me on. Like you were saying the other day, someone will write something just for Missing Word is Indigenous Day. It has to come naturally if you're going to write about that. It has to come from a place of experience too.
So I get there's a real feeling that you have a purpose, that your purpose is like larger than yourself, that it's
far larger than myself. You know, it doesn't have to do with me. It has to do with the era we're in with Indigenous people, you know, on this planet, in Canada, and we've grown. And as an artist, I wasn't ready for this a few years ago, you know, like when I was still growing. I'm still growing, yes, but I've definitely like I paid my dues in so many ways. And now if I do end up getting that kind of success that I'm hoping for, I'll be ready for it. There was one point where I even quit music because it wasn't of the industry, and I'm stronger now. I've gotten, you know, I've felt some things. I've gotten through it. So now it's like, if you want to be a leader, if you want to have that microphone, you have to have the right words. You need to be able to speak for the people. I mean, not giving anything to mumble rappers, but come on, like you got to say more if you have the gift. You got to say more if you have the opportunity to. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm finally ready for that. And it's all happening kind of divine timing. The purpose isn't me. It's beyond me. And I guess my biggest dream was always to make golden records. I want to make good music, golden records that are timeless records. Because when you think about it, those songs that you hear over and over again never get old and give you that feeling. Oh, I want to make music like that.
It's interesting, like you know, there was a period where it was primarily country and folk were the top kind of genres, and today, you know, over the last, I'd say 20 years, that it's become wide open, and the voices within the community are truly rising, and music is a big part of that. You know, what are your hopes for your music, like theme-wise, and where you hope it goes?
I was just talking about this because of the amount of styles that I played with. I'm thinking that the best way to explain what I'm doing would be under the umbrella of pop music, but then you see how pop music is even old country, or like we go back to like 50s and stuff. The stuff they'll say was pop music there was actually like folk or country. So pop music has changed over time. Popular is popular music, but under the umbrella of pop, you can be like pop trap, like pop folk, or like, you know what I mean? It's
just anything goes.
So I think the umbrella of pop music would be like a soul R&B pop singer, a pop R&B, pop soul, pop trap, hip hop, Doja Cat vibes. She's definitely not just hip hop. People will say she may have got. I'm glad she got like the award for hip hop, nominated for hip hop album, but she's definitely like pop hip hop, or like say like trap pop. It's like a style. It's different, and I think that my umbrella is definitely in those kind of categories, because I'll sing folk music, but it has the pop like vibe to it. But it's not like the pop you hear on the radio all the time, where it's just like the same repetitive like da 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 da. Like it's not. Which I'm saying nothing wrong about that.
That sounded pretty good, actually.
Yeah, but just like I'm just saying like a repetitive. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, we call it the hit song formula. We have the hit song formula, and you know you can use that same chord progressions in all these different ways, and they're very pleasing to the ear. Yeah. And I can make music that has a generic like loving.
So it's interesting because you can come up with a melody, you come up with the songs, and then you can come up with how it's going to sound in the studio. So you've got a depth of understanding of music that's just. What's that like to carry that? I mean, when you can.
When you're someone like me, you just want to go. You want to get better. No matter how far you keep going, you want to get better. So for my head, I'm so happy I have that. But to get better as an engineer, to get better as a producer, to get better as a singer, I have to get better at piano. I have to get better at musical stuff. Like not just these. I can paint a picture by producing it through software. Yeah. But no, I'd rather get a session player, or I would rather play the instrument. So. Now I have to learn my instruments better. You know what I mean? That's another whole path. So I think it feels great that I've gotten this far, but when you're someone like me, you just keep wanting to do better and to get better at something. And when you're an artist, you're never bored. I'm never bored, because even if I wasn't doing music, I'd be doing fashion. I'd be a fashion designer. There's so much art that I love. I love painting. Like I used to paint for years. Like for my head, it's like when you're an artist, when you're a creative, well, especially artist, I think everyone can be an artist, but a creative person, yeah, your creativity can be put into anything. And I think that people that are extremely like engineer left-brained are also artists, in the sense that what they can do with a song is something that's just, it's mathematics, but mathematics can be art too. So.
And I got to ask you about coming into the National Music Center. What were your thoughts coming into the building? Because it's, you know, you have the facilities, you have the amazing people that work here. What were your thoughts when coming in here?
Well, I definitely felt like I was a little like awestruck when I seen Tonto, for sure. And like I definitely felt like I was in like I felt at home right away because I walked to go get water, even just down to get, Daniel went to go get me some water from the water station. So I ended up in like the big kitchen for like the center. And the first person I ran into, like of all people, I just been to Calgary for a few hours. He said hi to me by the fridge, and I'm like, hey, and all of a sudden we look at each other, we're like, wait, I feel like I know you. He's like, I feel like I know you too. He's like, wait, I'm like, wait, I do know you. He's like, I think I know you too. I was like, and so my two like only guy friends here in Calgary that I love dearly, I've never met all their brothers. And I was like, do you know Jay and Nat? He's like, I'm their brother. And I'm like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. Like, we know, I've definitely seen him. He's like, he's the accountant here, but he's also an amazing artist. So right away I was like, okay, sometimes it makes me laugh. I just seen Jay 2 weeks ago. He was in Vancouver visiting me for his birthday. This is his brother. I've never met him before, but it's like I've literally been in Calgary for this incubator for like a couple hours, and it's like sometimes creator just aligns things. And then when you see things like that, even if it's funny like that and random, you're like, okay, I'm going on the right path.
Oh,
And this center, Daniel, I'm Danielle, I'm Dani Lion, Dani. So it's like Daniel's gonna come in. I'm like, Danielle, I am? They're like, no, Daniel. I'm like, okay. So even stuff like that make me laugh. I'm like, it's just alignment, and that the center is automatically made me feel like a sense of this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm ready for this place. I'm ready for whatever levels keep coming.
Well, and it's interesting because the incubator has Indigenous, non-Indigenous mentors and an emphasis on some of the programming. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, like I was saying, like anyone that's a professional in their field that wants to help and give back to the music community, I'd love to hear from them. Doesn't matter, Indigenous, non-Indigenous. And I really stuck out to me was Val. I really enjoyed what he had. I feel like he had a wealth of knowledge. Like in a way, he kind of felt like a industry dad. I felt like I asked him like, oh, do you have kids? He's like, no, actually, I don't have any kids. But I was like, oh, like you're like a father though. Like he's like, you have all these music kids. He's like, can you really mentor like us? Or like, and he really did have that kind of like energy and that. And he was super willing to just share so much knowledge on the record labels. It's everything it was. I learned so much yesterday. So and to meet you and to know like, I wanted to go. I'm like, I have dreams of putting my song on the Indigenous Music Countdown, and I was like, oh, like you're the Indigenous Music Countdown, like yay, that's awesome. Like I don't know, I didn't expect to meet you, and knowing that people like you are doing programs like this outside of what you're doing with like things like that makes me happy just to see that, so many professionals are Indigenous in the music industry, and they're wearing more than one hat, and they're giving back, right?
Well, and that's because there's such a wealth of talent out there. So, I mean, you've talked about yourself and your skill set, and then now you could work with other people with other skill sets and bring that together. So it's gonna create a movement, really.
Yeah, I'm trying my best
or the continuance of that movement. Yeah.
Get better at what I'm doing, but also. Collaboration and community is super big to me, so that's why I went on tour with Two Rivers this summer. I just felt it was really important. Like I started my first festival in Kelowna in 2019 called Okanagan Indigenous Music and Arts Festival, and now we're a society. But that took a whole year of my life, and I remember doing it like we need a stage. Indigenous need a stage, and this was pre-COVID. Two Rivers happened is now like it's the first like touring festival that's ever happened that's Indigenous in Canada. So we're still like. And that's community building. That whole so I have a huge part of myself that's community building and community driven.
Even like the Bear Grease show that was touring across Canada.
Oh, they're so amazing.
That was part of.
They played with me. I played a show with them.
Amazing, and that's part of community as well. Like it brings a sense of community.
Yeah, and culture, Indigenous culture in their city, like Edmonton, right? They have Bear Grease. It's like a Grease show. It's going to appeal to everyone that loves like that whole. But then you're going to have a little bit of like Indigenous humor and like learn more about the Indigenous around you. And I think that part of us as Indigenous artists is to help people love who we are. Like let them know us so they can love us back. So they can educate. So now there's more love, more collaboration because people now see us. They're not afraid. And sometimes people are afraid of what they don't know, right? And so I just don't want people to be afraid of, or Indigenous to be afraid of collaborating with non-Indigenous. I feel like part of us as artists now, especially this time right now, is really about, collaboration and bringing not just, it's like reclamation, resurgence, reconciliation, and like freaking love, man, smiles, heart, warmth, bringing them in. Because that's the only thing that's going to keep this, ultimately keep this country that this country thrive. Because if you think about it, all of us need to collaborate, because like what's happening with, I'm not even getting into it, but global warming and stuff like that. Like we do need to really work on how we're gonna make Canada have longevity for our children, and how we're gonna protect the land. So right now as an artist, it's a big job of mine to work on collaboration, and for people to really see us who we are. I want us to see them to see the good parts. We already know the bad parts of everything. Why do we have to focus on those? Why don't we focus on the good parts, and then we can move towards the true reconciliation, right? And forgiveness.
So, some artists are like connected to the land. You know, being from BC, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful territory. Is there anything that you carry in your work and your purpose from that comes from the land?
Vibes. I'm such a, like, I am a West Coast, like, you can tell just how I am. Like, even when I was in Calgary when I was 14, 15, some of my best friends I grew up moved here. So I'd come every summer, and right away everyone would be like, you're a BC girl. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you notice that? They're like, you just can tell that you are. And maybe that part of that is like, we have so many rivers, lakes, and well, there's lakes and mountains here, but there's lots of mountains there. You're in the mountains, if you're out by the lakes and rivers, I don't know, there's something about you that wants to have like the long curly hair and flowers in your hair. It's a little, not hippie-ish, but there's definitely like almost a Cali vibe there too in a way. And I think that's maybe in a modern sense what I get from the land is I'm a free spirit. And a lot of people in BC are free spirits. And you feel like you can get that essence from the land there. And that's from like the beautiful mountain open spaces. Like you see, just look outside in nature there, and it's just incredible, right? Even in Caribou country up in the middle of, up north and stuff. You know, it's just like from miles and miles and miles, you just see a sea of trees, and like in the fall, they turn into all these orange colors, and it's like nothing you've ever seen. And Canada is so incredibly beautiful.
That's obviously very influential. But in your mom being a chief, how does that play a role with you as well? Does it, you know, like in terms of like her leadership role and you being her daughter and being into the arts? I mean, it's there must be some connection to community because of all that as well.
There really is, and I think that right now I'm kind of struggling with the need to want to go home and be part. Like she wants to see me in the potlatch. She wants me to. I could get more responsibilities if I'm home, but I have to be home, or I have to be able to show up right when they have potlatches. I can't just like I want to get my tattoos. We're reviving our face tattoos, and Dakel Hall had face tattoos, but I can't do any of those things until I'm sat at potlatch and do more of my, so I do struggle with my being artist life, being on the road, always being out in the cities. I'm not at home all the time. I try to spend like 2 months at home. So like taking on this language grant was huge for me to just focus on the language. And in the language, I go home sometimes and I help clean up old audio book from my old elders, listening to my great grandmother talk, like so cool, and hearing them talk the language too. So I'm trying to learn, I'm just revive my memories of my grandmothers and my hereditary chief grandmother, and just it's my responsibility really to carry it on, and so yeah, there is responsibility, and I'm just needing to. I'm like, maybe when I start having babies, I'll come back home and I'll take on more of those responsibilities, and how can I carry that into my life now as an artist?
Why do you want to take on that responsibility and carry it on?
Because it's like I feel like it's in my DNA. It's like my legacy from my grandmother to carry it on. You know, it's almost like it's my birthright. I have to. It's like I don't have to, but my mom like has more than me as a kid. She has 2 others, but I know I'm the one she knows is like, and that's how she was to my great grandmother, because her mom was, you know, everyone was in alcoholism, and after residential schools, all my great grandmother's kids dispersed, and they left all their kids with my grandmother. They were all 15 kids in one house. Wow. They're all alcoholics, and they're all so sad and so broken. And my grandmother chose my mom to give the birthright to. And my mom was only like 16, and she was afraid of it because she didn't have the responsibility of it. And she said no. So she gave it eventually to her mom, my mom's mom. But she actually skipped a generation to my mom out of all the kids, because my mom was like the one up at 6 a.m., you know, making sure all the kids were eating food, like her sisters and brothers, cousins. Before school, they wore the same pair of pants for 2 years of her life at school. Like, they weren't rich, they were poor. But they all went through that together. And I feel like with my mom too, like she feels like I have her heart. She's my lion, she's my Leo. My love sign's in Lion too. That's everyone thinks I'm a Leo right away, but I'm actually a Virgo. But my mom is a true Leo, and I definitely feel like I carry her her heart, her mountain lion heart. And so is she has my grandmothers, you know, my great grandmothers and my grandmothers. And so I don't know what it is. I just feel like it's like my responsibility in a way to live up to these traditions that are still there, that haven't been lost, and that these names were of value. Like my great grandmother was sent to meet Princess Diana in England. Like she was one of our great chiefs to meet Princess Diana. Like these are honors. Our women, there are queens. Our matriarchs were queens, right? They weren't just, they were passed down the line of the bloodline, and I have that with my veins, and I feel like I need to honor that part of myself. So
and you're honoring it as an artist,
yeah,
bringing that forward, and in terms of, I guess, the future, where do you hope you're going to be, say, in like 10 years from now?
I hope I have a golden record. I hope I've been in the Grammys already. I hope I'm like, and I mean singing at the Grammys. Like you never know, these things could happen. I want to honor my family. I want to put more Indigenous on the map, and in that way, I bring honor back to home. I can show our people that they're capable of getting there. You know, that they are capable of, and that other women and they can become audio engineers. Like that's the crazy. Most people think they can't ever do something like that because it seems really technical. It's like it is really technical. It's not super easy, but you can do it. Put in the work, you can do it, and that's kind of my way of honoring my family. And as I grow older, maybe I will be more of a chief sense like my mother is. We'll see how that goes, right? So right now I'm trying to rise in the music scene. I think I need to take that as more of a priority as getting my songs out into the world, getting beautiful songs out there.
And what kind of songs can we expect in the future in terms of like the sound, the genre? I mean, it sounds like
I have a mountain lark.
You can go in so many directions, but you know, what are you hoping for in the near future?
I want to do like folky soul with hints of pop, I guess. Because like I just feel like this album, Reclamation Resurgence, already has the songs. The two genres of the songs are like similar vibe, but one's very ethereal. It kind of reminds me of like being in space and like this beautiful it's the aura of it is almost like in this almost like in the 70s when you would like feel away. I don't know, but then the next one is like it's folk, a mountainous, larky kind of vibe, which is almost like First Aid Kit. I don't know if you know those artists from the UK, but so again, this album I think is going to have a bit more of a folk streak to it, but it's going to have that soul. You're going to hear the soul in my voice because that's like a soul singer, Amy, in my voice. It might even have a bit of Motown jazzy vibes to it. Like I want the songs to flow, but I want them to paint a picture. It's going to be my first album, so it's not just going to be like a one-off.
Right.
Singles. It's going to be like, but then the ones I have written that I love, I'm sitting on about 15 good songs, I say. I've packaged out into 5, which are like the pop, trap, urban kind of drill ones. So like there is different essences, but the albums have to have their genre themes. So I'm not going to be mixing a ton of genres in this one, but it's going to be like.
It's going to be like thematic, sonically, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you foresee putting language in the songs?
That's the goal. Like, I mean, but the problem with this is that they didn't give me the yes until like, I think it was May or June, and I went on tour. And so I only actually don't have a full year to get all those hours in.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping what I'm going to work on with my mentor right now is actually getting poetic phrases. We want to make like haikus out of Dakar, so that in that way I can at least write. Maybe we'll write hooks together. That way, at least I can translate.
That's going to be beautiful.
Because at this point, I'm not advanced enough to be writing. I'm on my own. I would definitely need like some help with. So we'll see. And again, sounds. Like learning my vowels, I'm learning sound, how our language sounds, because sound is what's going to help me write. Like I can't just. The language has to go with the chorus. Has to go with what I'm coming up with the beat or whatever guitar riff. So. If you know of any good Indigenous guitar players or musicians in Vancouver that I might not know about, who knows, I might know them, might not. I found that I want to work with Indigenous session players, and also this album, I want it to be done as like analog as I can.
Yes.
So that's kind of the point. That's why I like to work with other artists. I like to do collaborative writing because of that reason.
Nice.
Right.
Well, and when you're recording, like in the studio, so you understand how I mean, obviously, as you know how to technically layer things out, But what about playing live, that kind of thing? Do you enjoy live?
Well, I love singing live. I'm
Yeah.
a singer, so like live singing is my favorite. Performing, but
Is there a performance that comes to mind where you go, that was a special moment? Is there one that you could share?
I had a beautiful one at I think Cream Hair Salon in Kelowna. They do these big parties every year in the Okanagan, and I did it at the Habitat Music Venue, and I had dancers and I had a DJ, and like I just had the full dress, and like just felt very, very me, and just like very much like a star, I guess. But it was just like the songs were beautiful, and I don't know. I do love having dancers with me on stage. I do like having something for others people to look at. But again, because I love performing, I love people. I'm able to bring people into the song the way I was a singing server for 3 years. When my first time, like kind of really learning how to, I just sang this close to people. Like I had to have a mic in my belt, and I would be bartending or serving. And all of a sudden, my song would show, okay, it's coming on, and then I would every like 15 minutes do a song, and I'd have to learn how to be really vulnerable, really humble, also perform in front of like who knows who was there. Mm-hmm. Had a Broadway producer come in one time, and I sang for his table, and I was in the back doing something for the bar, and he came back, and he was a two-spirit man with head to toe in a plaid suit and a polka dot bow tie, and he comes back, he's like, I should be singing for you. And he's like, please, can you come star in the Rocky Horror Picture Film on Broadway? He's like, I'm not even kidding you. I've auditioned 2,000 people over the past couple weeks. You are who I want for this role. You have something unique. He's like, look, everything, please. And I was 21, and I was like, and he had people come like scout and like harass me with like trying to get me to go. And I was like, I didn't think I was ready for it. I didn't think I was ready to live in the States. I didn't know anything about living in the States. So now I look back at that with a bit of regret. But just knowing that practice alone of being a singing server, how they taught me how to sing to people and give them like, making a lady cry for something she wanted me to sing or whatever you need to do. So you learn how to be really humble and perform well. So now when I perform, I feel like I bring that vibe into my songs. So I don't always need a bunch of people on stage with me or like a bunch of things for it to be like something that people are into. But for like bigger stages, if I was going to get booked, I would probably have dancers, visuals, and a DJ.
What a great opportunities and great experiences that you've been having. I got to ask you about the OHSOTO'KINO, just the essence of what do you think you're going to leave here with?
I'm so inspired. Like I just feel like I'm buzzing. Like I don't know if you guys notice my energy right now, but I'm buzzing off inspiration, off just gratitude and respect for the people I've met, like you and Alan, and just the different people that I'm meeting here in general, the other artists. I'm feeling really inspired. So I'm leaving here with what the extra oomph I needed to do this album, and I do hope we get some time to collaborate while we're here. But I kind of knew this was going to be the perfect experience to make me feel ready to not only birth the album more, but also focus on myself as an artist, not just as an audio engineer, not just, that's a beautiful thing, but like I want to focus on myself as an artist right now. And in a way I was not needed this, but I needed to break out of like, I was the tour managing stuff. Like I'm all into that stuff. I'm never going to forget how that made me feel and like what I went through and the positives of it all. At the same time, I'm ready to focus on being just singing right now.
Well, I think you're going to have like a lot of positive opportunity coming your way because you have so much great energy that you just glowing with positive energy. So
I feel like sometimes it makes me feel like I'm literally high on life, like I'm buzzed because it's like how can you not see sunshine and like places that make you happy, like the music center or people that are walking their path, which is like their purpose in music. It gets me just like, I get hyped on life. I'm just like feeling like just so excited for you, so excited for Alan, like excited for all of us, and that these opportunities bring people like me together who might have not ever met you if I hadn't met you here. Like who knows, but now I know you exist. I'll know that I'm able to message you or.
Well, absolutely, and the fact
like
that and you've got a cheerleader of so many people here, cheerleaders that want you to succeed. So I'm positive. We're going to be hearing a lot more about you. I can't wait to hear your new music. I can't wait to see where everything goes. And I know it has to be good because you carry such a good spirit about you. So thank you so much for sharing, and we wish you all the best. Yes.
I wish you the best too. Thank you. Thank you guys. Hi, hi.